Hey everyone, this is Trevor Halpern. This is another episode of the What's Halperning Podcast. These are the COVID Chronicles, the abbreviated versions of the What's Halperning Podcast, where I'm inviting the guests on that are scheduled to come on and that we will have on for the full sessions. We are doing abbreviated Zoom sessions. So today I am honored and excited to have my friend and my mental mentor, Al Fuentes, on with us today. So Al and I are going to spend 15 minutes or so just kind of chatting and catching up and seeing what's happening in the world out there. So Al, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So with everything that's going on, if you could give us just a brief background on who you are and what you do. And then from there, how has what you do changed, or how you're interacting with your clients, with your friends? Are you seeing, what are you seeing from the mental side of things with people right now?
Yeah. So who I am is, I'm just a guy who had a lot of struggles in his life. That's who I am. And 15 years ago, decided to do something about it. And well, it just so happened after a couple of years of working my butt off on every cylinder of my life that happened to be just all wacky and way off. My whole life changed. And I started to build from a place that was just different than I ever knew. And so big that people were like, yo, what the heck are you doing? You look different. You're acting different. Your business is different. Everything's different. And I didn't really have an answer. So I kind of started to backwards engineer my journey, which was mostly spiritual at the time, to understand if I could create a science behind what I did and make it measurable, repeatable, and tangible. So after much meditating and much understanding of the science, and I do have a college education in a science background, so for me it was not hard to make the links. Plus I have a long journey in this kind of path anyway. It became very clear that there was a system that I could create. And at that point in time, 13 years ago, I started my business as a mental coach. Back then, mental coach wasn't even a thing. It wasn't well known. It wasn't even a word. And so I started in an industry that I knew nothing about, from a place of coaching, from a place of, I didn't have any formal certifications. There was nothing that I did other than change my own life, understand how I did that, created a system out of it, and then started sharing it. And I guess that was the certifications I got were the hard knocks of life. And what that's allowed me to do is just work with a ton of people and get to interact in all walks of life. Famous Hollywood actors, musicians, athletes, professional on almost every sport. I've gotten to work with collegiate teams, a lot of high-level business people, CEOs, and my whole business has been built off of referrals, which, fast forward to today, creates a very unique experience for me, because I get to see people from all industries, all walks of life, handling this COVID experience.
Are you seeing any with that? Like, are you seeing any trends in thinking? Are there like bright line divisions between people's thinking? Or are you seeing a general kind of consensus or a general type of thinking? Now, I suspect because of the people that you work with and the type of your work, you're probably seeing a little bit more on the like, hey, let's stay positive and push through. But I'm sure you're interacting with people where they need a little bit of help getting over the hump. So like, what are you seeing, or what's the sense, or what's the general tone of people's like mental state right now?
Well, you are right. Overall, most of my clients are pretty powerful. And so they're coming in already looking at this for the opportunities, even if they don't know exactly what they are. That's a lot of the work that we're doing is understanding what their opportunity, what their way that they can position themselves during this time so that they can really grow. In general, what I'm seeing is now more than ever, people have no attachments to norms and routines and systems and processes. And it's putting their mind into a place of such an unknown that they're grasping for something and they don't even know what it is. That's the bigger theme that I'm seeing, even with my own clients. On some level, that's what's happening. Even if they're positively trying to figure it out, which they are, there's still that construct within that's happening. So the bigger thing is, because everyone's norms have been changed, how the brain works is it's just a system. And it's kind of like a computer. When you turn your computer on, wherever you left your programs last, whatever applications on the desktop, wherever you turn it on, that's where they are. You want to go to an old file, you click on the folder. Let's say it's all my seminars, and you click on the seminars, and there's the outline for this. I know I go to this folder in this section, and there it is. That's our brain is written that way. It's very systematic. It's very programmed. Unfortunately, it's programmed with a lot of stuff that we didn't get a lot of say in, because it was kind of like how life happened to us versus life happening because of us. So all of our behaviors and traits, typically for most humans, that's what's going on. So now it's as if you turn on your operating system and all the files are moved around. Some of the files aren't even there. You don't get to use all the applications you used to get to use. And you now get this operating system. You're looking at like, okay, now what?
Do that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Finish.
No, please go ahead.
I was going to say that the thought that you just said is so, I mean, it rang clear as a bell to me, that separation of life being done to us and us. What was the flip side of that? Us doing life, right? The kind of sense of it, right? Yeah. Us either being like reactionary and pulled around this life, or trying to do something to make life respond to our inputs. And I think that's kind of nailing the sentiment that I've been getting out there. And when I talk to the various people that I talk to, it's diverse, just like you, right? And one day I can talk to a billionaire and I can talk to a school teacher, both of them buying houses, right? And so I'm seeing the diversity of thought out there. And I feel like the people that live in worlds that are already kind of amorphous, that are already kind of like my world, which is every day I come to work, it's different. Like I'm used to kind of being like, okay, well, things are different and I got to pivot and move. And so I'm thinking of this as like a bigger version of that. Whereas the people that may not have to make that type of decision-making on a daily basis are now confronted with, I'm not going to work and I'm not doing the 15 tasks that I'm supposed to do during the day. And I have no idea where I'm supposed to go, because they're used to being on these like railroad tracks of life. Whereas I feel like I'm in like a river, getting like pulled around. So I think your divide, what you mentioned there, is it exemplifies exactly what I'm sensing from the people that I'm engaging with on a daily basis. There's that divide of like, well, I'm being pulled at like this new COVID world is just pulling me wherever it's pulling me. I have no control, and you know, the world's upside down and my hair's on fire and I'm freaking out. And then the flip side of it are people that are like, all right, let's kind of see where this thing goes, and let's work on ourselves, and let's work on our businesses, and let's be positioned for whatever happens, at least trying to control what they can control. That's the divide I'm seeing.
Yeah. And with that, and with what the construct of that is, when they're lost, these people that are on this railroad track, this is how we do it, this is the lane I'm in. Even with somebody like you who is used to some version of every day is going to be like moving parts and different things and different variables, it's still, I mean, the kids aren't in school, right? Mm-hmm. Gyms are closed. Can't go. Open houses are now more virtual, and people, you have to wear gloves and masks and different things that are happening. It's still a lot for us to navigate. We're human. So what I would say to anyone during this time, whether you're somebody used to variables on a day-to-day basis, or somebody who's really programmed, they go to work, they're there at this time, this is their 15 tasks, they do them, they leave, and it's an everyday kind of rinse and repeat process. No matter what, this is a time for all of us to find a comfort, a confidence, a trust, a centeredness from within. Because no matter who you are, most people are trained, because we've never gotten a rule book for this, by the way, or any instruction manual. No one really trains themselves to let this one reference point in their brain be their home base. They wake up and they let the environment around them, how they slept, They let the things that are going on in their day be the reference point. If it's the weekend, I am free. I am happy. I am just like, let's go. Let's have fun. This is my time to relax and let go and just really enjoy myself.
Mm-hmm.
If it's the weekday, the grind. It's the work. And the thing is the environment, the day is dictating that, and it never should have.
Interesting. Yeah.
It should be, I get to wake up and be free and excited and have fun and just feel light and happy today, regardless if it's a day where I'm going to work and I'm doing my thing and then coming home and doing my thing, or if it's the weekend. Because what happens is we give so much power away to the routines, to the day itself. Oh man, I didn't sleep that well. I know I'm going to have a crappy day today. That's so much disempowerment. And I used to live that way, by the way. I used to go, oh, how did I sleep? That's going to add some element to how I'm going to feel today. Now I'm like, I don't really care how I sleep because I'm going to be me no matter what. Mm-hmm. And have the energy I have no matter what. And I'm not going to let sleep define that. So these things on every level now, because the brain is so all over the place, we have a great chance, a great opportunity to take advantage of the meandering mind or the unknown mind that's just searching right now, trying to find some place. And we get to put a root application. So if we go back to that analogy, we get to put a root application that no matter what operating system, no matter what files come and go, no matter what programs are a part of the system, this application always runs. That would be the center point of our own being. And from this application, everything else happens. From this mindset, everything else happens. How I become a parent happens from this centered mindset. How I show up to work, how I feel about life. And I'm no longer going to wait to live because it's not the weekend. I'm no longer going to wait to have fun until I'm on vacation. I'm no longer going to wait to feel confident or secure until I have X number of dollars in the bank. I'm no longer going to feel like I can finally enjoy life until X, Y, or Z. This root application that we program in, that we have the opportunity to do now, is critical. And for those who realize that, and then somehow find a way to do it. Now, honestly, because nobody really talks about these things, there's not a lot of resources out there. I have some on my website, and I just got off a call that I trained a large group of people on creating a center point in your brain and allowing that to be the root application, if you will. That's the thing we do. It's not going to happen unless we make it happen. Your brain just doesn't naturally create a home base because now there's nothing going on. It's going to...
Yeah, it won't blow up its home base to replace it with another one if it doesn't even know that another one exists. So I think what you're saying is like so important and so powerful. And I think right now in these times, for the people that haven't gotten into this, like haven't gone down this path, but are having that meandering brain and are having those thoughts of like, man, what they want to grasp at something but they don't know. What's your like? Okay, you have resources on alfuentes.com, but like if you could give all right, here are some tricks and tips to get going down this path, to start building that root system. What would you say? Like a couple of little pointers. Where would you start?
So thank you for alfuentes.com. Yes, I got free stuff on there. You don't even need to put in an email or a password or nothing. You just go on there, enjoy the information, because I want to make sure there's resources available. My Instagram, I really want people to follow me on Instagram, mainly because I am posting a lot more on there. There's a lot of really cool videos I do. Mm-hmm. And I'm always doing opportunity seminars, talks. And so for those people, that's my main vehicle to share and market. And that's at the.alfuentes. And so it's at the.alfuentes. You can find me on there, or if you type in Al Fuentes, you'll see my big shiny face. And you can just click on me there. But since you asked, let's just do it right now. And for anyone listening or watching, please, let's just join in. So Trav, you and I are both going to do this. We're going to close our eyes. Okay. And the first thing we're going to do is take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And we're going to do a few of these. The reason why is we got to let our body know that we're doing something different. This has to feel different than a regular breath, which means you have to breathe in really deep. You want to have a good upright posture. You want to have your feet ideally flat on the floor, not even crossed. And you want to have a good position. Because you're saying to your body, you're saying to your mind, you're saying to this moment that this matters. So again, breathe. And with this breath, you're expanding the chest. You're breathing in so big, your chest opens up, your shoulders come back. You feel your body lift up. And with the breath out, you feel yourself collapse. And we'll do it again. And ideally, you're doing this more and more and for yourself. If you're listening along, no one's going to do this for you. It's not hearing the words. That doesn't make this work. It's feeling your breath so big that you expand up so tall. It's breathing out so powerfully and so deeply out the mouth, you feel your whole body let go. Now this starts to send signals to the brain and to the body that you're creating space, creating a moment of connection, of presence. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And then we want to just start to think. Yes, think. And we're going to zoom out really big, though. We're going to think about how far you've come in life, no matter what age you are. As you think about the story of your own life, man, you've come a long way. Man, there's been a lot of things that happened. Your life, my life, our lives together. We've seen a lot come and go, good and bad, highs and lows, and yet we're still here. The worst of the worst of our own lives we've experienced up until now, and we've always figured it out. So that word, that phrase, I've always figured it out. Breathe it in. I've always figured it out. Put some reference to it. Your own story, not my story, not anyone else's story, your story. Look at your own history. You know what you've been through. Look at how far you've come. Whatever snafus, whatever trips, whatever blocks you've navigated. You wouldn't be listening to this now if you hadn't. So breathe. I've always figured it out. And in fact, when you look at the story of your own life, most of it is really small now. None of it shows up super big because it's old. It's in the past. I've always figured it out. But we can do that same thing with the now, the moment. Yes, this pandemic's going on. It's not something that's unreal. It's not something that's not something to ignore. It's there, but it doesn't have to be bigger than you. So take a deep breath in. Feel your body lift up, feel your breath get bigger, feel your mind get bigger, feel the story of your own life come into play. I've always figured it out. And realize, yes, this too shall pass for sure, but from your own proof, I've always figured it out. Let this in front of you get shrink down as you get bigger. Let yourself get so big that this becomes something you navigate and deal with, but from a place of confidence, trust, and truth. No. There are going to be things you're going to have to navigate today. There's going to be a truth you're going to have to show up in, but now it's your truth. Not what the world tells you your truth should be, but how you show up knowing you always figure it out. And then you're just going to deal with today, and whatever things you have to navigate, let's do it, but let's feel trusting, confident. Let's feel calm and centered with the truth that we always figure it out. And let's own this versus letting it own us. Now, open your eyes. This is the thing. And believe it or not, as quick as this was, if we did this every single day, even for people who need to do it 2-3 times a day, this is what I do personally. This isn't something I just talk about. I'm not sitting on some soapbox here. I lived a messed up life, dude. I was lost for a long time. I was stuck in a lot of humanness. And it took just programming to slowly unwind the story of my old life and to create a story of this new life that I have now, which is awesomely abundant, beautifully magical every single day. I'm grateful. As far as business, I'm busier than ever. As far as opportunities, there's more opportunities for me now than ever. And here's what I told somebody the other day. I told them, like, listen, this is a luxury. When people hire me to work with them, to do coaching with them, they're spending money on something directly that is a luxury item, really, unless people value it so much that they're like, this isn't a luxury, this is a necessity, so that I can then continue to create more. I mean, that's fine too, but But the reality is not that. I mean, people don't have to do this. Everyone can just figure it out on their own. And there's some humanness in me going, what if people, decide this isn't as important anymore? But I quickly push that aside and go, no, I know my value. I know my worth. Not only that, I really know that what this does is create more abundance for myself and the world around me, including the people who work with me. And so with that mindset and energy, I've created so much more business during this time than less. And it's been putting the scarcity mindset aside, because that's normal humanness, and going, this is my real truth, and then showing up accordingly in my life, and then creating that. So that's my own personal journey in that.
Dude, that's so powerful. And that has been that mindset and that thinking and going through that visualization that you just went through, and listening to the visualizations that you've done privately for me on our sessions, and digging into those and getting deeper with them during this time has again provided me with that platform and that foundation to stand on it, to know my own truth. And the way you speak of it is that, to know your own truth is to disallow anything to be bigger than you. Right. And and that's what you said, the pandemic is real. This is real, but we don't need to just let it define us, and hearing those words in that visualization, I hope people take that and listen to it. Because just that, when you hear those words and you are in that meditative state and you're breathing them in and you are taking them in and your brain is setting aside space to bring those in, the second the other side of your brain starts kicking in and saying, dude, we're not going to get through this. I am panicked. I'm freaking out. That little voice that's been repeated over and over again says, we always figure it out. We'll get through this as well. And then that other voice just goes away. It's like, oh, you shine the light on it, it disappears. So this stuff is so powerful. And coming at life from this angle, from the angle that you have taught me through this type of thinking, has allowed me to know myself so much better, and allowed me to be honest with myself and be forthright with who I am, which has allowed me to stand on my own too and be that beacon of light. Like you said, right now, knock on wood, my business is very robust. I've been going out and gathering more business through this than if I doused myself in gasoline and lit myself on fire and said, the world's on fire, I'm on fire, why aren't you on fire? Let's light you on fire. It's the other way. It's being calm and collected and looking at the future and zooming out and, all of the good stuff that you've taught me to just take my head and just look at it that way. So, thank you for the work that you've done. Thank you for being you, and thank you for teaching me the ways. And, what I love about it too is, I was just describing it to someone this morning, talking about you to someone, and it's not that you sit there and say, you have to think of it this way. Or have you thought of this? What about that? It's not like sitting down with a counselor or someone where it's like, oh, I'm laying on a couch, I got a box of Kleenex, and, we're going down to my 5th birthday when the clown didn't show up, or whatever. It's like we're dealing with real life stuff. And it's not you telling me how to think. It's you simply with the machete chopping the brush down in front of me and allowing to walk the path that I should walk. You're clearing the brush, you're creating a path, and you're allowing me to just find it. And you're allowing my brain to declutter itself and put that root piece of software in there that it goes back to. If my brain's going to snap back to something, I want it to snap back to the good stuff and not to the panic and I'm not good enough, and all of the stuff that we allow our minds to tell us.
Yeah. And that it's a great thing to say in a lot of ways. You said a lot there. I want to highlight one thing that you talked about, which was the humanness piece. This world that we live in is not like, oh, this is just so beautiful and rosy. What a beautiful thing. And it's okay. And I'm a realist and I'm pragmatic. That's important to understand about this work and about the humanness we all have. I already alluded to some of my scarcities, because none of us are above humanness. There's no I'm not some person and you're not some person that just walks around that way. Every day, the humanness is going to come. And the challenge with it is it's outside of us. And before the pandemic, it was always there. It's not like it wasn't there, scarcity, lack. If I were to say to you, finish this phrase, money is the root of all
evil.
Money doesn't grow on
trees.
How do you know these phrases? Because they're out there in the world. And these are just some of just what humanness has injected. There's parenting rules that are injected into us, like we should be this and we shouldn't be that, and this is how we're supposed to live, and if you're not spending time with your children, then you're not loving them. That's another story. And then there's so much story being injected or projected at us from the collective human consciousness, which is where I would say all that comes from. Now the pandemic comes along, it just magnifies that, because now it's like very scary times and a lot of worry, a lot of fear, specifically highlighted in that way. But it was all there. It's just now been reappropriated. All of that humanness has been there this whole time. We have to work our butts off, you, me, everybody, to feed a different programming, to feed that root file, that root application, so that becomes our bigger truth. And it's an everyday. I've been doing this for 15 years personally, my personal work, meditating, doing the work, doing lots of different evolving and training the brain and everything else. Because this is something I live. It's not just something I share. And I still hear the humanness of my own mind that's attached to the humanness of the world around me. And I have to work and counter it every day. The humanness isn't wrong. It's there to give us an opportunity to evolve. It's not bad, and it doesn't have to be scary, and we don't have to run from it. We have to look at it and go, oh, there's that scarcity emotion. Got you. Thank you for the reminder. I've got this. Here's who I am. Here's the story of my own life. Dude, after everything I've been through, there's no reason to feed that energy. Feed this energy. It's okay that you're there. Thank you for the reminder. And so then these things like fear, doubt, worry, scarcity, lack, concern, all become cheerleaders on the sideline, just reminding you of how you want to play the game versus the players on the field getting in your way.
It's so interesting because, as you're describing that, I'm thinking of those two. The humanness is external, the root software is internal. And if you don't have that root software in there, you've got this hollowness that will get filled with the externalities, right? You're going to hear all the stuff and it's going to fill your brain, and that's where it's going to live. And so now your root software is society, is humanness. Yeah, the virus is here. And oh my, the virus code, the COVID-19, you're going to get that. No, and if not, you're going to get the flu and you're going to get the cancer. And oh my God, you're not making enough money. And you just hear all the flood of the things from social media, from marketing, from your friends, from your parents, all of the stuff. And you just allow the external forces to seep into your brain, and you become a victim of what is going on outside instead of standing on your truth and allowing when you want for the external forces to come in or not. But like you said, kind of checking in. Okay, I hear there's that scarcity mentality. I hear you. Yeah, I remember you. See you later, right? I think it's so fun because I really do think it becomes an internal, external thing. What's here and what's going on in the world. And that's where I think humans aren't programmed to receive all of this information, all of this bad stuff from around the world getting thrown at us all the time. And we're supposed to, unless you have that guard, that block, unless you know who you are, you're going to be swayed and pulled dramatically by that stuff. And I think it's okay to be swayed and pulled by humanness, and it's okay to be swayed and pulled by humanity because we all are parts of it. But if you are simply constantly reactionary to what is going on in the world, you're never going to get to know who you are and what your truth is.
Yeah. When you say it's okay to be swayed and pulled by society, I would elaborate on that a little bit more, because it's like being on a boat. And when you're on a boat, if you react to all the little waves, you will never find balance. Mm-hmm. And even if you haven't been on a boat, let's just explain what that looks like. You get on a boat, and initially you're like, and pretty quickly your body learns how to almost be like a gyroscope, staying in balance, and the hips move and the feet move and everything just and so like the body is pretty still and centered, even though you've got these subtle ripples into the waves. Every once in a while, you'll get a big one. Maybe another boat's driving by. That one you'll feel, and you've got to work on recentering yourself. That would be the humanness around us. Like the overall humanness, even during this time, we're meant to just be centered through it and not let it thrash us around. Every once in a while, you're going to get a big wave. It could be anything. Your child could get sick, and you're human. You're not going to, you have this big feeling human experience, and you're going to be immediately, you can go into concern. You get into an accident, you're immediately going to have some level of humanness that's going to throw you off. A deal gets canceled. Immediately you're going to feel like, oh shit, like this might not be okay. Like those are normal. When these waves come, they're going to come. But if you're letting everyday life, even during this time, rock you all over the place, you'll never find centeredness. And even when those bigger waves do come, you've got to super counter and get back to a centered point. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough one out there for you.
I love it. And what's interesting too is I find that there's a growing environment out there for people who are thinking like this. I find that there's a growing sentiment of connectivity and trying to find, some inner peace and some direction. But I also find that there are people that don't even know. It's like there's a complete lack of awareness that there's a different way of living outside of like the anthill mentality. And so it's just interesting to see it, hopefully these times, like you said, now that we are in this kind of amorphous mental state, we don't know what's happening tomorrow. Hopefully those people who are seeking and like, man, I got to find something, will kind of seek up and we'll try to find a calming voice within their own minds.
Yeah. I mean, ideally that's part of the point of this whole thing, is for this time to be an opportunity for all of us to grow, for this time to be an opportunity for all of us to level up. But it is tough because we don't know what we don't know. And we're doing the best we can as humans. Yeah. And every day I seem to learn more and more. And I'm always amazed and grateful to just continue to grow every day. I'm amazed because it's like, man, there's so much more to do. Not from a place of not enough. Not, oh man, I'm not enough until I get it, and I'm nothing until. No, I feel like I'm enough now. But being enough and knowing that I can continue to fill my bucket more and grow more, that's a great place to be. But also grateful that I never just assume I've got it figured out. And when you're in this time, and there's all this stuff going on, a lot of people have to then go, oh crap, like I thought I had this figured out and I really don't. But it is tough. That's why I'm trying to get out there as much as I can. Ideally, other people are too. The biggest thing is self-empowerment during this time. Mm-hmm. Not to lean on, I think all the Zoom calls and stuff are great. And I think all the happy hours through Zoom or some of the other things that people are doing are great. That's nice activity, but self-empowerment is the answer to this time. And my voice getting out there, or the tools I provide, are all designed and always have been from the time I started, been built on self-empowerment. You talked about me clearing the brush. The essence of what you're saying is I'm not telling you what to do. I'm holding a space so you can walk your own path. That's the definition of self-empowerment. And no one needs to do any of this stuff. But man, if they do, the empowerment they gain is amazing. So ideally, people do pay attention during this time. People do find themselves and empower themselves during this time. That's what the purpose of this time is for. So we'll see if it happens.
Yeah, well, and honestly, that's a great place to end, because that sums up. That's such a great place. I hope that this discussion, if we have one person pull a nugget out of this that leads them down a path of self-empowerment and leads them down the path to find themselves and to know themselves better and know their own truth, then that's a success. So thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for your time. I can't wait to have you on for a full-blown long session. Also, everyone, we do have an in-person session set up with Al. It's scheduled for May 15th. We'll see if we're all allowed to be in person on May 15th. Otherwise, we may switch to a Zoom thing. But the topic is is Mind Over Matter, How to Focus Your Mind, or how to teach your mind to focus on what matters. I bungled it, but it's something like that. It's right around there. So May 15th, keep an eye out for that. Al, thank you so much. I love you. Thank you for coming on, and we'll talk to you soon.
Love you, brother. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Love you. Bye.